Welcome to this course on digital system design. In this lecture, we will look at the design of a Mealy sequential network. We will go through the steps that are involved in the design of a finite state machine model, starting from the specification and coming up with the sequential state graph, then state table, all the way up to the circuit design. So, to this end, we take the example of a problem of conversion from the BCD number to the XS3 number representation. So, here we have to do basically a code conversion, convert the binary number encoded using the BCD scheme to a binary pattern encoded using the XS3 encoding scheme. But that we have to do it using a circuit which takes the bits serially one by one and then produces the output serially one by one, which would be quite different from the way of a parallel bit conversion from the BCD to XS3. The problem can be understood by looking at this table, which depicts the conversion between the BCD and XS3 code. The BCD encoded number decimal will have 4 bits. We will call it as the X input. So, the bits are numbered as X0, X1, X2 and X3, and they take 10 possible values, that is 0, 0, 0, 0 encodes the decimal 0, 0, 0, 0, 1 for 1 all the way up to 1, 0, 0, 1 for the decimal 9. So, basically this is an 8421 encoding scheme. The bits take a value, a weightage of 2 power I varying from 0 to 3. So, the LSB takes a weightage of 1, next to that weightage of 2, after that 4, and then finally the MSB takes the weightage of 8. So, accordingly the 10 decimal digits encoded using BCD are given out on this part of the table, and we want the corresponding representation in the XS3 code coding scheme, wherein each number has a value in excess of 3, which means the number 0 in BCD, which has an encoding of 0, 0, 0, 0, will take a form 0, 0, 1, 1. So, 0, 0, 1, 1 indicates the number 3. So, it has 3 in excess to the corresponding BCD value. For the case of 1, we will be 4, that is 0, 1, 0, 0, and so on. Finally, for the number 9, 1, 0, 0, 1, we will have an XS3 representation which will be 1, 1, 0, 0, which will in an 8421 will correspond to 12. So, in XS3 code, the number 9, the decimal 9 is encoded as 1100. So, it is as if the numbers have been given a boost by a numerical value of 3. That is why we call it as the XS3 code. How do we convert a BCD number to an XS3 coded number? We can simply do it by adding 3 to it, that is 0011. So, here we have the 2 examples are given of converting BCD numbers to XS3. Suppose we have the BCD number 0100, which corresponds to the decimal 4. On adding 3, we will get 0111. So, that would be the XS3 code for 4. Similarly, for 0101, the corresponding XS3 code will be 1000, and so on. So, this XS3 code will have usage when we do BCD arithmetic. Well, now the problem is to convert from BCD to XS3. For that we need a digital circuit. We are going to use the Mealy finite state machine model to design this circuit. Well, if it were a parallel bit addition method, then given a BCD number, it is easy to use a 4-bit adder and give 0011 as the other input to this adder and get the output, which would be an XS31. The problem would be so simple. We just need a 4-bit adder. But now we will go in for a different design, wherein we need a circuit wherein the circuit has a serial in, serial out interface to the external world. That is, it will take only 1 bit at a time, that is serially inside the circuit, and it will give out only 1 bit. So therefore it is a serial input, serial output. Imagine we have a black box to which we feed an input 1 bit at a time. We will call it as the X input. We have an output, call it as the Z output, which is supposed to give out the BCD number. So by serial in, serial out, what we mean is we feed 1 bit at a time from the X input and we expect the circuit to produce 1 bit at a time of the Z output. To be more specific, because it is a sequential network, we will control it using a clock. In terms of the clock period of that clock controlling the sequential circuit, if you look at the way the input and output go inside and outside the circuit, at the time T0, the input, LSB of the input has to be fed. So as I have already mentioned, we will call this bit as X0, next X1, X2 and X3. Similarly, the output Z is encoded as 4 bits. So this bit would be Z0, Z1, Z2 and Z3. So in a serial input, serial output converter, we will feed X0 at the time T0 and expect the circuit to produce at the same clock period Z0. At the end of the first clock period, at the time in the second clock period, that is T1, X1 will be fed while we expect Z1 to come out. Then X2 will be fed at the time T2 while we expect Z2 to come out. And in the fourth clock period, that is T3, X3 will be fed and Z3 will be expected to come out. So this is how we expect the machine to work. Then the question is, how do we make this happen? For that, what we have to do is, we have to look addition of 1 bit at a time and then produce the corresponding output bit based on the problem at hand. The problem being the BCD to XS3 conversion. So this is the addition we have to do, but at any given clock period we are only adding a bit corresponding to that particular bit position. At the T0 we will be bothered about X0 to produce Z0 and so on. So let us look at a generic clock period in which a bit Xi is being used to produce the corresponding bit Zi. Well, you would be getting a bit input bit X0 or X1, X2, X3 at the clock period. That bit can take any given value. It can be 0 or it can be 1, because you may be feeding any one of the bit. We may want to convert any given BCD number to the XS3 code. So at T0 you will get X0. X0 can take any one of these values. Similarly, at T1, x1 can take any one of these values and so on. So, the input bit that you get can be 0 or 1. Well, then by the process of conversion from BCD to XS3, we mean we have to add 3 to the BCD number. From the perspective of addition of a bit, we may have to add either a 0 or 1 depending upon which bit position we are in. That is, at the time T0 and at the time T1, we need to add 1s, while from T2 and T3, we need just have to add zeros. So, with x0 and x1, a 1 needs to be added, whereas from x2 and x3, just a zeros need to be added. So, there is a bit that we need to add for the purpose of conversion, and we need to remember which bit needs to be added, 1 or 0. For that, we should keep track of in which bit addition we are currently in, whether we are in adding the 0th bit or the first bit or second or third bit. So, the machine should remember it, and therefore, it has to be a sequential circuit. Then, whenever we add a bit, we know that there is a possibility of a carry. So, if you look at this one, 0 and 1, there is no carry. But on the other hand, in this example, when we add a 1 on 1, there is a sum of 0 and a carry of 1, which needs to be remembered when we add the second bit, when we process the bit x1. So, at any given bit addition, there may be a carry bit that needs to be taken into account. So, in general, we can tell there can be a carry bit that may be used, that may be required to be added along with the input bit and the bit to be added. So, we will distinguish three kinds of bits that may be involved in any bit addition. One, the input bit, which is the xi. Another, the bit to be added, which can be 0 or 1 depending upon the conversion. Then the carry bit, which can be either 0 or 1, and whether it is 0 or 1 is decided by the previous bit, the result of the previous one. So, this is how it will turn out to be, which means in general the BCD to XS3 conversion, when we carry out serially one by one, we would always be looking upon adding 3 bits in general in any given addition clock period. Those 3 bits are the input bit, that is the xi to be added, the addition bit to be added, which is 1 for the first 2 clock periods and 0 for the next 2 clock periods. Then the carry bit which needs to be added. Of course, for the 0th position it will be 0, while the other 3 positions other than the LSB, the carry bit can be either 0 or 1. So, in general, there are 8 possible ways in which addition we may have to perform. All the bits can be zeros, or it can be 001, 010 and so on. There are 8 possible ways in which addition need to be done, and this is what we need to perform in any given clock period. Well, you could think of using an full adder to carry out this, and probably a bit flip-flop to store a carry and then reuse it. Yes, of course, there is a way of doing that one. But we need to take care that we need to only provide 2 ones, the ones during the first 2 clock period and not later on. Okay. So, that is one way of doing it. We can also look at other ways in which we can do instead of employing a full adder and a flip-flop. Well, now if you look at these 8 different cases that we may encounter, for the purpose of computing the result and carry, there are essentially only 4 cases, because the bit addition is commutative. Either all the bits are zeros, as in this case, which means the result is 0, 0. The sum is 0, carry is 0. Or all bits are 1, as in this case, called as the 3 ones are there in the bits. in which case the sum is 1, carry is 1. Or there is just one among the 3 bits. So here is one example. This is one case, this is another case, and this is the third case. Well, all of them will give the same result. So the result would be that the sum is 1, carry is 0. Or there are just 2 ones, as in the case of this case, or this, in which case the sum is 0, carry is 1. So with this in mind, we can now look at how the conversion can be carried out. Well, so here we look at the conversion process and come up with the state machine. So we will probably start off looking at this one, and then we will see how the whole process can be converted into a state graph. Okay. So what we will do is, we will start off in a state where we have to begin the conversion from a BCD to XS3. That is prior to T0. Well, at the time T0, when the T0 clock period has started, the bit X0 has arrived at. Now, how do you produce Z0? For that, we have to look at the value of X0. So, at the state, say S0, the input has come, X0 has come. It can take 2 possible values. It can be 0 or it can be 1. So, we need to handle both with these 2 cases. So, let us put 2 transitions out of the state S0 when we move on to the next clock period. The corresponding inputs can be either 0 or corresponding or 1. Well, now what is the conversion, the process, how do we process the bit X0? There is no carry. So carry bit is 0 because it is the LSB. But in XS3 conversion, 1 needs to be added at the LSB position. So we need to add a 1. So with the input being carry is always 0. If the input bit is 0 and we add 1 bit for the addition bit, the result will be 1. So when the input is 0, the output is 1, and we go to a state where there is no carry. So that we will represent it as the state S1 and denote it, use this label to understand that this is a state where there is no carry. I repeat, because there is no carry and because there is a 1 that needs to be added in the LSB, when the LSB bit, that is X0 is 0, 0 plus 1 will give a sum of 1, which is what is given out as Z0, and the carry is not there, carry is 0, and that we denote it as the state S1 and indicate that there is no carry. On the other hand, when the LSB, that is X0 is 1, since there is no carry but a 1 needs to be added, 1 plus 1 will lead to 1 0, that is the output is 0, Z0 is 0, and there is a carry, that we denote it as a new state S2 and put a label that there is a carry. Why do we need 2 different states? Because S1 is a state that tells that we have handled 1 bit, that is the LSB or X0. We are waiting for X1 to arrive, but there is no carry. Whereas S2 tells again 1 bit conversion is over, that is the LSB conversion is over, but we have a carry to be used when we process X1. That is the difference between these 2 states. They remember different things and therefore they will behave differently. So in this manner we can go about building the state graph. To be more clear, we will look at how each bit is being processed using this diagram. So what we looked at for the processing S0, okay, that we have to carry it out for different states. We looked at so far that we are at a time t0 when we are in a state S0. At the time t0, x0 can be 0, in which case we will produce an output of 1 and go to S1, which is a no carry state. We will use the symbolic notation NC for no carry. When the input x0 is 1, we produce z0 as 0 and go to a state S2 where there is a carry, which you denote it by using C. This is what we have seen. Now we are in the time period t1 when x1 is going to arrive. We may be either in S1 or in S2. Now in S1 we have to handle the x1. If you are in S1, what happens when the bit x1 arrives, which can either be 0 or 1. So this is the 0 case, this is the 1 case. We will individually handle it. Similarly in S2, either the x2 that arrives can be 0 or 1, that is again to be handled. So here is a table that tells what will happen in the S1 state. This state is very similar to S0 because here there is no carry, number 1. So the carry is 0, this is the carry bit, that is 0. Then there is a bit that needs to be added in along with x1, okay, because in XS3 it is a 0 0 1 1 in the LSB position, and in the position next to LSB a 1 needs to be added. So this indicates the bit that needs to be added. And then the input bit x1 can be either 0 or 1. So these are the two cases that can occur in S1. No carry, therefore 0. A bit to be added, therefore it is 1. And the input bit is the only thing that is not in our hand. So that can be 0 or 1. So in this case, the result is sum is 1 and carry is 0. Therefore, if this occurs, we have to go to a state where there is no carry. So that we denote it as S3 and indicate that there is no carry. Under how do we label the transition? This happens when the input is 0 and the output, that is Z1, okay, is 1. So it is 0-1 is the label that you have to put in the transition from S1 to S3. The transition from S1 to S3 we will put 0-1. The input x1 is 0, the output z1 is 1, and we go to a state which is no carry. Well, if you ask a question, why do we generate a new state? We essentially are remembering that there is no carry. That is what is also remembered by S1. But there is a difference between S1 and S3. S1, in any given state, there are two information that you have to remember. One, how many bits we have processed until that time, and do we have a carry to be handled in the next bit. Okay, so this is what we need to remember. Do we have a carry to be processed? Because we need to remember how many bits we have processed so far, because accordingly only we will find out whether the bit to be added is a 0 or 1. The first two bits, 1 needs to be added. In the last two bits, a 0 to be added. For that we need that information. And finally we have to, after the entire 4 bits have been added, we have to go back to the initial state. For all these things, that information is required. The difference between S1 and S3 is that in S1 we are in the time period T1 after handling the first bit, that is LSB x0. Whereas when we come to the state S3, we are in the time period T2 we have handled 2 bits, x0 and x1. So that is why these two are different. Although both of them, remember that there is no carry bit to be processed. Well, now in S1, if the input bit is 1, then the result is sum is 0, carry is 1. That is, the Z1 will be 0. So on getting 1, we have to produce 0 as the output and go to a state where there is a carry. Therefore, we should introduce a new state, call it as S4, and put a label as 1 bar 0. In S1, when the input is 1, we produce a 0 and go to a carry state. So the label is 1 bar 0 and go to a carry state S4. And why S3 and S4 are different? We need two different states, because in this state there is a carry, in this state there is no carry. And again, that is different from S2 because S2 is also carry, S4 is also carry. But in S2 we remember that only 1 bit has been processed. In S4 we remember that 2 bits have been over. Now S2, having dealt with S1, these two cases, we start with S2. S2 is a no carry state. Sorry, S2 is a carry state. So this is wrong. Okay, correct this mistake. So this has to be C. So 1, there is a carry bit. There is a bit to be added in S2 because XS3 conversion means that in X1 also there is a bit to be added, and the input bit can be 0 or 1. Okay. So accordingly, in this case 1 1 0 we get 1 0, whereas here we get 1 1. We see that in both these cases there is a carry being produced. So we should always go to a state which remembers carry and also remembers the fact that 2 bits have been handled. And that is what precisely S4 stands for. S4 stands for that there is a carry to be remembered and 2 bits have been processed. So from S2 we can go to S4 for both these two cases of input being 0 or 1. When we get a 0, we produce a 0 and go to S4. When you get a 1, we produce a 1 and go to a carry state. Both are written here. You may wonder, from S1 also we went to S4, S2 also we went to S4. Yes, that is what we have to do, because the essential information that we need to remember is that how many bits have been processed and whether a carry needs to be handled. That is the only thing that will decide the behavior of the machine at the time t2 when x3 comes. Everything else is immaterial. What bits actually came, how you got here, whether through this path or this path is irrelevant. Only thing that we need to remember is these two information. So S4 encapsulates that. That is why. So as we see, whenever we have a situation that we need to remember some information which is not remembered by the same information by any other state, a new state has to be generated. Otherwise, we have to reuse the same state. So this is how we have to do. So 2 bits have been converted. Now there are 2 states, S3 and S4. Each has to be handled. We'll start off with S3. S3 is a no carry state. So carry is 0, and we are in the 3rd bit to be added. So XS3 tells that just we have to add 0. There is no more ones that needs to be added. The bit to be added is 0. The input bit, actually the input bit has to be X2 to be precise. Although it is always put as X1, this is X2. S3 and S4 it is X2. S5 and S3 it is X3. So the bit to be added can be 0 or 1. Accordingly, the result in this case is 0 0, here 0 1. So here there is no carry. Here also there is no carry, which means that whatever may be the input that comes, when you are in S3, you always go to a no carry state. So from S3, we indicate a new state, call it as S5, and denote it that it is a no carry state, and go to that whenever with these two labels. For a 0, we produce a 0. For a 1, we produce a 1. So 0/0, 1/1, we go to S5, and it is no carry. Again, although all S1, S3, S5 are all no carry, we have used a different state to denote S5 because this indicates that 1, 2, 3 bits have been processed. There is only one more bit to be handled. So that way S5 is different from S1 and S3. Now handling S4, which is given here, which is a carry state. So a 1 needs to be handled. No bit needs to be handled in the time T2. But the input bit can be 0 or 1. Accordingly, we have a result which is 0, 1 or 1, 0. So this is a no carry state. So from S4, when the input is 0, we produce an output of 1, that is 0 bar 1/1, and go to a no carry state, which is S5. We can reuse S5 because it is no carry and 3 bits are processed after handling a bit from the state S3 or S4. Well, if the input on the other hand is 1, we produce a 0 and go to, we are in S4, correct. When the input is 1, we produce a 0 and as an output and produce a carry. So this is wrong, this has to be a carry state. This is again a mistake, change it to C. So we will denote it, for that we will use a state S6 and denote it as a carry state. So from S4, for 1 we produce 0 and come to S6. Okay. Now we are in the after processing 3 bits, we are either in the state S5 or S6. And when the last bit arrives, what do? We should handle it and go back to S0, because S0 indicates that a BCD conversion has started, is going to start, which also means at the end of a BCD conversion we have to go back here and redo the same operation for the next BCD digit. So S5 needs to be handled. Okay. S5 will be similar to S4, because here again S5 will be very similar to S3, because both are no carry states, both don't have a bit to be added. The input can be 0 or 1. So you would see that no carry, no bit to be added, and then the input can be 0 or 1. So the result can be 0, 0 or 1, 0. So here this is a no carry state, this is actually a carry state. So again this is wrong, this is 0, 1, okay, because there is only 1. So always there is a no carry state, but the sum can be either 0 or 1. So when a 0 comes, we have to produce 0 and go to a no carry state. From 1 comes, we should produce a sum as 1 and go to a no carry state. Again correct this mistake. So this is a no carry state, and incidentally we should also end up the conversion to go back to S0. Again S0 itself is a no carry state. That is how we started off with. So from S5 we can go back to S0 by putting this label as 0 bar 0 and 1 bar 1. Okay. Finally S6 has to be handled. The state S6 is a carry state, which means a 1 needs to be added as a carry bit. No bit needs to be added. The input bit can in general be 0 or 1. So accordingly, if you look at this one, the result is 0 or 1, which means when you get a 0, you produce a 1 and go to a no carry state. That is what is indicated here. When you get a 0, you produce a 1 and go to a no carry state and also to a state S0, which is the initial state. Perfect. But now look at this one. The result is here 1 0. That is, when a 1 comes in the last bit, which is x3, this has to be x3, we produce a sum as 0, which would be z3, and go to a state which remembers a carry, which means from S6 we have to go to a state with a transition 1 bar 0 and go to a state which has a carry, and S0 is not a state which has a carry. Okay, so as such you might think that we need to put another state, but that is illogical because the whole conversion has to be over. If you go to a different state, how do we handle the next bit? Because once a BCD digit has been converted to XS3, we should come back to the original state and handle the next BCD digit. If we have a carry, it means that we should remember this carry in the conversion of the next BCD, but that can never occur because each BCD has a unique XS3 and one BCD conversion is not going to affect the next BCD. So what is wrong? How do we go to a carry state? That is because that indicates that there is something wrong. This way, either on going to this carry state or the case the 1 occurs. In fact, if you carefully look at it, supposing you are in a state S6, which is a carry state, the bit that comes, the MSB bit X3 that comes, can never take a value 1, and therefore this transition will never occur. I repeat, in the state S6, the bit that comes can never take a value 1, and therefore you will never have a case where a carry is produced after handling the last bit of a BCD. You can check that out because S6 corresponds to a case where there is a carry being produced. Okay. So after this conversion, a carry being produced. If a carry is being produced and then if a 1 comes, then only the problem arises. So for a carry to be produced out of this condition, we have to be either in one of these case, because if these bits are zeros, whatever may be these bits, there won't be any carry over here. So if you are in a carry state when you are handling the last bit, the bit, this we have to be in these cases. Under such conditions, the last bit is always zeros. You are in a no carry, then the last bit can be 1. So these two do not go together. So when you are in a carry state when handling the last bit that comes cannot be 1, therefore that will not even arise. So with all these we have come up with the state graph. So this is a Mealy machine because you can see that the transitions have got input and output labels. So having obtained this, the Mealy state graph, we have to check whether we have handled all states and all possible input conditions. Of course, that is how we have been handling the bit process, but again you have to cross check whether all input conditions have been handled. Here the 1 bar 0 is not mentioned because that is not going to occur. The next step is to convert it into a state table. Translate the state graph to a state table, then only we can go about realizing it. So how do we do it? We have here the present state denoted as PS. For each present state, we will list out the next state denoted as NS for two possible input conditions, x equal to 0, x equal to 1. And we will also list out the output Z for the two input cases 0 and 1. So this we will extract it from the state graph and populate it in the state table. So how do we if you are in S0, when x equal to 0, you go to S1. When x equal to 1, you go to S2. And that is what this indicates. From the present state S0, for x equal to 0, you go to S1. X equal to 1, you go to S2. And in doing so, 0 bar 1, 1 bar 0, that indicates for an input of 0, you produce output of 1. And for an input of 1, we produce an output of 0 in this translation. In a similar manner, we have to fill this one. If you are in S1, for an input of 0, we go to S3 by producing a 1. So, for an input of 0, from S1 you go to S3 by producing a 1. For an input of 1, we produce a 0 and you go to S4. From S2, you can see that from S2, we always go to S4. 0 bar 0, 1 bar 1, which means that from S2, we always go to S4, both input condition. And the output is the same as the input. 0 means 0, 1 means 1. Similarly, from S3 to S5, S3, we always go to S5. 0 bar 0, 1 bar 1. For 0, we produce 0. That is given here. 0, you produce 0. 1, you produce 1. From S4, you may either go to S5 or S6 and produce accordingly this one. From S5, you always go to S0. The output or input are the same. 0 means 0, 1 means 1. From S6, only x is equal to 0 can occur, in which case you go to S0 by producing a 1. X equal to 1 cannot occur in S6, so you put a dash. Later on, this will be treated as a don't care condition. Now, what we have done is we have converted the state graph into a state table, but still these state tables have got states using only symbolic or labels S0, S1, S2, S3 and so on. Why you have used S0, S1? This is just a convenience. We could have used labeled the states as A, B, C, D, P, Q, R, S, alpha, beta, gamma, anything. But S stands for a state and you don't know how many states you are going to produce. So, you start using a subscript to distinguish states. Starts with 0, then 1, 2, 3 up to 6. Well, now, the next step is to encode the state or do a state assignment. What do we mean by that? We mean that we should store this state information in a state register. State register has different state variables which are nothing but bits. Those bits have a unique pattern for every state. Each state will have a unique bit pattern that denote that particular state. There are 7 states, 0 to 6. So, we need 3 bits. Let us call them as Q1, Q2, Q3, let us say. So, we need 3 flip-flops storing Q1, Q2, Q3. And we need to give a unique bit pattern to stand for a given state. So, S0 means these 3 bits should have a particular pattern. S1 another pattern and so on. 3 bits means 8 patterns are there and we need only 7 states to be encoded. You can easily do it. One straightaway way of doing is that is, we can use the bit pattern 000 to stand for S0, 001 to stand for 1 and 110 to stand for 6. Which means that we encode it such that the decimal equivalent of that binary number is same as the subscript that we have used for the state. If you have used S3 means the subscript is 3, the decimal, the binary number equivalent to this decimal is 011. So, you just use that as the encoding mechanism. That is easy to remember, easy to assign. So, if you do so, that is called as the straight binary assignment. It's very straightforward. binary assignment. But it turns out that such an assignment may not lead to a circuit which has simple, which means that which has lesser gate counts. When we are designing a circuit, we would like to keep that circuit simple or less complex. By that we mean the total number of gates present in the circuit has to be less, and in addition the number of inputs to the gates should also be less. Okay? Supposing we have two circuits, one has lesser gates than the other, that is preferred naturally. If you have two designs which have the same number of gates, but then you add the total number of inputs to these gates, one may be a 2 input gate, another may be a 4 input gate, and so on. Okay, still you also would like to have gates which have less number of inputs. Obviously that is going to reduce cost, that is what we are interested in. So the straight binary assignment may not lead to such a design. Therefore we look for a good state assignment policies or guidelines. These are the guidelines which will reduce the complexity of the circuit. So I am going to list out some guidelines and use those guidelines to come up with an optimal state assignment. By that we may tell, we may not give 0, 0, 0 to S0. We may give an arbitrary some number 1, 1, 0, 1. For S2 we may give 1, 1, 1. From S4 we may give 0, 1, 1. So any such thing we may give. There is nothing hard and fast which will tell that S0 means it has to be 0, 0, 0. There is nothing hard and fast in that one. We can give any way of assignment as long as it reduces the complexity. So these guidelines help us in getting such an assignment. So that is what we are going to give out. Well, these guidelines are rules which can be understood with some intuition, but there is no rigorous proof that we will give for these guidelines. Okay. So now look at what is the one which gives rise to the complexity of the circuit when we design. Later on we are going to use this as I will to give a quick glimpse of why this assignment is important. Once we do an assignment, we are going to use 3 flip-flops, 3 bits to represent these states and give out those bits values like this. So for each state S0, S0, S1, 3 flip-flop bits are being used and their values are being given here. These are the values in the next state. The corresponding bits are called as Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 plus. So from this state, we are going to this state or this state based on this input and output. So this is how we encode the state and come up with a truth table like this one. Then what we do is we have 4 inputs, Q1, Q2, Q3 and X0, and 4 outputs, Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 plus and Z. So we need a combinational circuit, as we already seen. Basically in this one we have fixed in the Mealy circuit we have already fixed the registers. To be specific, let me just look at if there is any. No, here it's not there. We would have seen that there are 2 parts in a Mealy circuit. One is a state register. We now know that there are 3 flip-flops in that. It's a 3-bit register, and then there is a combinational circuit. To that combinational circuits, we have 4 inputs, Q1, Q2, Q3 and X, and 4 outputs, Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 plus and Z. And we need to minimize the complexity of the circuit. Later on, once for that 4, we treat these as functions and minimize, use K-map reduction technique like this for each of this Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 plus Z, and then come up with gates to design it like this. So this is a flip-flop for Q1, Q2, Q3 and some gates that realizes the functions which are given here and fill it up. So this is going to be the outline of our design. Now with this in mind, come to this state assignment problem. Suppose you are in a given state S0. Based on the input, we switch to either of these two states. Well, which means that if you look at the way the S1 and S2 are coded, as we move from one state to another state, certain bits may flip, some of them may not flip. That depends upon the encoding of S0, S1 and S2. We would like to reduce the number of bits that we have to flip as we move from one clock period to the next clock period. It should be obvious that more the number of bits that you flip, more complex should be the design. Supposing if there is no bit needs to be flipped, which will not arise, which means we are in the same state, okay, then the complexity is simple. So this is the case. Now, how do we, so what it means is, from a given state S0, if these two states are such that they have a similar bit pattern, then whether it is 0 or 1, the number of bits that needs to be flipped will not change much. If their bit patterns are very similar, they will have a similar number kinds of flipping. Clear? So that is why these two should have a bit pattern which is very similar. Similarly, if you look at this one, these two cases, from S3 we go to S5, or from S4 also we go to S5. Okay? If S3 and S4 have a very similar bit pattern, then whenever we come to S5, minimal number of the changes are only needed, because for both these cases we come to the same state here. Okay? If S3 and S4 has got similar bit patterns, then with small change in the circuit, the same circuit can be used for this transition as well as this transition. Okay? Similarly, if we have outputs such that if we have different states which for a given input produces the same output, then it will be easy to generate those outputs, because all those states which produce the same output for a given input, if they have a very similar bit pattern, it is easy to synthesize the output. So these are the rationale behind these three guidelines. The guidelines we will look at one by one. First tells states that have the same next state for a given input should be given adjacent assignment. Okay. Well, adjacent assignment is something that we need to understand. What we mean by adjacent assignment is that those states should be encoded with similar bit pattern. That is, let us look at two bit patterns, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. Okay. As we move from one pattern to another pattern, only the LSB changes. Only one bit needs to be flipped. Okay. If on the other hand, if it is 3 and 4, 0, 1, 1 to 1, 0, 0, 3 bits changes. More bits changes. So, what we can do is we can define what is called as the Hamming distance between two bit patterns. That is, number of bits by which they differ. That is a quantity that is very important. We would like to, two bit patterns are similar when their Hamming distance is less. Okay. So, when we say their Hamming distance is less, we will later on use a K-map like formalism to do the encoding. We have to place the encoded value of those state in adjacent squares in that K-map. That is what we mean by adjacent assignment. By adjacent assignment, we mean assignment of encoding to those states so that their Hamming distance is less. Okay. I repeat, two states means two bit patterns. Find the number of ones by which they differ. That is the Hamming distance. One simple way by which you can do is, exclusive are these two bit patterns. When the bits change, the result will be 1. When the bits do not change, the result will be 0. That is how exclusive OR works. Having found the exclusive OR, you find the number of ones in the result. That is the Hamming distance. So, when we say adjacent assignment means they have similar bit pattern or lesser Hamming distance. Clear? So, what the first guideline says is, states that have the same next state for a given input should have adjacent assignment. That is, if you have two states for which the next state is the same for a given input, they should be adjacent. So, for that you have to look into the column. If you look at the column and look for the same state occurring more than once, here S5 appears here. So, S3 and S4 are two states which have the same next state, namely S5, for a given input, namely x equal to 0. Therefore, 3 and 4 have to be adjacent. That is what this tells. States 3 and 4 that have the same next state, namely S5, for a given input x equal to 0, those 3 and 4 should have adjacent assignment. So, find out, discover those kind of conditions and put it in this place. Against the guideline 1, you list out all those conditions. 3 and 4 should have adjacent assignment. For that, what you have done, we have looked at the column, looked at whether states get repeated and those previous states are being clubbed together. So, here again S0 occurs. So, 3 and 5 are two states which have the same next state S0 for a given input. So, 5 and 6 have to be adjacent. Here you look at S4. So, 1 and 2 are two states which have the same next state S4 for a given input x equal to 1. So, 4 and what does it say? 1 and 2 have to be adjacent. So, this is how this has been arrived at. The next guideline tells states that are the next state of a same state should be given adjacent. That is, if you have from a given state, if you go to two different states, they should be as adjacent as possible. Because see, from this state, based on this input, you either go here or here. Okay? So, if they are adjacent, but you don't know what is going to come, but the number of bits that need to be flipped are same. Okay? If they are adjacent, those flips that need not be changed, bits that need not be flipped can be left as it is. The circuit need not, it will be easy to come up with a circuit for that. So, states which are the next state for the same state should be adjacent, which means that you look in the rows. Here 1 and 2 are the next states for S0. So, 1 and 2 have to be adjacent. Here 3 and 4 they are the next state for S1. So, 3 and 4 have to be adjacent. Here then 4 and 4 are obviously adjacent. They are the same state. Don't worry. 5, S5 same state. Don't worry. Here 5 and 6 are the next state to S4. So, 5 and 6 have to be adjacent. And here S0, there is nothing to mention. That is the second guideline. Finally, the guideline is related to the output, the way output are produced. All states that produce the same output for a given input has to be adjacent. So, look at the column in the output part of the table. All states that produce the same output, say 1, when x equal to 0 should be adjacent. So, here you look at where all there is 1. Those all states have to be adjacent. That is 0, 1, 4, 6. So, 0, 1, 4, 6 have to be adjacent. And here 0, 0. So, the corresponding one 2, 3, 5. Sorry, 2, 3, 5 have to be adjacent. Similarly, you also look for this one. Here again it tells 0, 1, 4, 6 have to be adjacent. Again 2, 3, 5 have to be adjacent. That is also it's giving. So, with this in mind, we should assign the states as much as possible adjacent to each other according to this condition. 1 and 2 have to be adjacent, 3 and 4, 5, 6 has to be adjacent, and so on. For that we use this kind of an state assignment map. This looks very similar to K-map, but the purpose is totally different. So, we know that in a K-map, see, here is Q1 spanning, here Q2 and Q3 spanning. Okay. So, you can see that for this one, Q0, Q1, Q2, Q3 are 0, 0, 0 for this. Here it is 1, 0, 0. So, suppose I put S0 here, it means I am assigning for S0 the encoding 0, 0, 0. If I put S3 here, it means I am encoding S3 using 1, 1, 1. That is what it means. Now, if you look at two squares which are adjacent in the K-map sense, they will differ by only one bit, because here Q2, Q3 are same, Q1 although changes. So, these two are adjacent, they will have similar bit pattern or similar less Hamming distance. So, whenever you have a condition where 1 and 2 are adjacent, try to put it in adjacent squares in this K-map like figure. Similarly, 3, 4 have to be next to each other. Suppose you know that this square and this square are not adjacent, this and this are not adjacent, this and this are not adjacent. Don't try to put 1 and 2 here, 3 and 4 here, and so on. This is what it tells. But now, it may not be possible to accommodate all these conditions in when you try to do a map. So, that is nothing wrong, because these are all, if you do it, you will reduce the complexity, but it is not that all of them can be accommodated. So, try to accommodate as much as possible. In general, you give preference to state assignment and lesser to the output assignment. So, these two are stronger conditions as compared to the third. Okay. So, again, because there are 3 bits which will get affected by this one. Well, so one way I could have done it, for example, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2, I can put 1 and 2 here, they are adjacent. 3 and 4 could have been here, they are adjacent. 5, 6 and I could have put here, they are adjacent. Need not be in the same row, I could put 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on. Here also see 1 and 2 are adjacent, 3 and 4 are adjacent, 5 and 6 are adjacent. You can play around with different kind of this one. But now it is easy to come up with this one. But if you look at this one, while you are satisfying these criteria, try to make 0, 1, 4, 6 as adjacent. So, if you put 1 and 2, 3, 4 here, okay, 0, 1 and 4 cannot be adjacent. So, that is the problem. So, if you look at this one, this accommodates, in this case we are lucky, we can accommodate everything. 0, 1, 4, 6 are adjacent, 2, 3, 5 are adjacent. Of course, this is a don't care term, we can take it, they are adjacent. So, this will be a better state assignment. Having done that one, use this for encoding. That is, remember, this is S0. So, S0 as an encoding of 000. So, in place of S0, you put 000. S1 as an assignment of 100. So, you put S1 as 100. That is Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 plus is 100. S2 as 101. Normally that is 5, but now we are giving it for S2. Similarly, S3 has got 111. Normally we could have done it for S7, but we are now doing it for S3. So, wherever S3 occurs, you put 111s. Wherever S6 occurs is 110. Wherever S6 occurs, okay. S6 is 0, 1, 0. Okay. 0, 1, 0. So, that way you have to map it. So, this is the next step we have to do. This is a more practical state table. This is more conceptual. This state table is one step closer to the design, because now everything is in terms of bits. Now, what do we do? You can write, there are 4 inputs to the combinational circuits. There are 4 inputs, Q1, Q2, Q3, X. 4 outputs, Q1 plus, Q2 plus, Q3 plus Z. Now you can come up with a big truth table with 4 inputs and 4 outputs and treat the 4 outputs as 4 Boolean functions and use K-map to reduce it. Or you can use this outlay also to fill that K-map. We have done that here. So this is a K-map for Q1 plus, Q2 plus, Q3 plus and Z. So how do we this is Q1 plus is this bit as well as this bit. This is for x equal to 0, x equal to 1. So what we do is we have clubbed x and Q1 on this side, Q2, Q3 here. So you look at this one, these all are zeros, x is 0, Q1, Q2, Q3 are all zeros. That will correspond to this square, 0, 0, 0, 0. So for that you look at Q1 plus, that is 1. So you put 1 here. Then this one is 0, 1, 0, 0. X is 0, Q1 is 1, 0, 0. That is again 1. So in this manner you have to carefully pick up the ones in against Q1 plus and fill this K-map. Similarly for Q2 and so on. Okay. Well, this is a little tedious problem. That is why it is very important that how do you write this K-map is very important so that you can easily read and fill it up with minimal errors. Suppose we have filled it like this, then reduce it. It is easy to now reduce. There are some don't cares, that also you put it as don't cares here. So now you can square these ones, that will lead to elimination of x and Q1, and here you will have Q2 bar. So Q1 plus is nothing but Q2 bar. Let us say we are going to use a D flip flop for storing Q1 plus. We know the excitation table of D flip flop, D1, the D input to the Q1 is D1, that is the same as Q1 plus. So we can write D1 is equal to Q1 plus is equal to Q2 bar. Similarly, coming to Q2 plus K-map, so this is the square and that is nothing but Q1. So D2 equals to Q2 plus is equal to Q1. And coming to the output Z, so you would see that this square corresponds to here it is x and here it is Q3. X Q3 is one term and these two. Here you can see that x bar is there as well as Q3 bar is there. X bar Q3 is there. And finally this is also the Q3 plus result. So if you look at this one, you will see that Q3 goes away, Q2 bar x Q1. So x Q1 Q2 bar, and this one is nothing but Q2 Q3 Q1, Q2 Q3 Q1, and these two if you look at, that will be what, Q3 bar, sorry, Q3, if you like extreme one, Q3 bar and then x bar Q1, x bar Q1 Q3 bar. So we have got the 4 equations. We need to just go ahead and design the circuit. So use 3 D flip flops for Q1, Q2, Q3. Common clock goes to all the flip flops, synchronous circuit, positive edge trigger. And then outputs are Q1, Q1 bar from Q1, Q2, Q2 bar, Q3, Q3 bar would be available if these works properly. So the input D1, D2, D3 of Q1, Q2, Q3 have to be generated using these equations, which I have already arrived using the K-map. So D1 is nothing but Q2 bar, give it, tap it from here and give it here. D2 is nothing but Q1, D2 is nothing but Q1, tap it from here and give it here. And D3 is little complex. So what we do, D3 is to be realized from this and given here. So it is an SOP. Use 3 input AND gate to generate each of this and then OR it. Now we have used a NAND implementation instead of an AND OR implementation. You would have probably encountered that an AND OR array can be replaced by a NAND array. So these are all should be AND gates and this is OR gate, but we can simply replace it by AND gate, NAND gates, it will work correctly. So what this A1 is supposed to be an Q1, Q2, Q3, and here this is X bar, Q3 bar and Q1, that is what goes here. So X bar is obtained through a NOT gate here, and this is X, Q1 bar, Q2 bar, Q1 bar, Q2 plus. So all these threes are product terms are produced to generate this. You can easily see that, see, if you take out these NOT gates and then put it here, these are all AND gates which will produce these product terms. Now what do we have it here? These are all bubbles before this AND gate as well as the output of the AND gate. Now mentally remove this bubble. We have now an AND gate with 3 bubbles before it. This is a NOT AND logic, which is equal to OR NOT, which is basically a NOR. Okay, only bubbles and an AND. And now you put that bubble back. So the NOR becomes OR. So this is OR, these are all ANDs. So that is how we have got the circuit. Similarly, here also we have used an AND gates. So we have synthesized the circuit. So the X comes here, Z goes here. Now what we talked about, that there is a black box which takes serially bit one by one and produces out serially, has been realized. See, that black box is whole of this gates. There is one bit serial bit X that comes here, one serial bit Z that goes out. That sequential machine design, this is the sequential machine. Mealy sequential machine for BCD to XS3 code conversion in a serial in, serial out manner. So we have outlined all the steps we have to do. Start from the problem specification, come up with the state graph, convert the state graph into a state table with only symbolic states, use good state assignment policies, come up with a good encoding schemes for the different bits, use K-map based deduction method to come up with the equations for the next state variables, that is Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 plus, and the output in terms of the present state Q1, Q2, Q3 and the input X. Once we have this one, realize it using 2 parts. One is the sequential part, that is the state register, another is the combinational part, and then try to use the universal gates, namely all NAND or all NOR based approach. Okay. With this we will stop at this point. Thank you.